Welcome to the White Sox REKAP Podcast. I am Ryan McGuffey. That guy is Brian Anderson. He's smiling. I'm smiling. Jonathan Hood's in the waiting room. He's smiling because right now it's pretty damn good to be a White Sox fan with what we've seen across the board. We've been talking about the momentum for the last 4 to 6 weeks here on the podcast, but now it appears sustainable. It's definitely real. After an atmosphere at the rate over the weekend against the Chicago Cubs, the Sox have taken it on the road and found ways to win even more. And that's what we're going to get into. It's the way the White Sox are winning, who they're winning with, how they're doing it, key contributions up and down the 26-man roster. Plus, it's a certain anniversary with the guy to my left. I wonder what that could be. Even though he's wearing the 2005 Hawaiian shirt, we'll ask and get into a walk down memory lane of something that happened 20 years ago today as we record this. A lot of good vibes, so many good vibes. It's been a long-ass time since we've had good vibes on the White Sox REKAP Podcast. We're going to have a lot of fun exploring them and what it means going forward right now on this edition of the White Sox REKAP Podcast. Jonathan Hood is back. The band is back together.
Scoot over with you.
Hoodie, good to see you, my friend. We have yet to discuss this, not on a text chain, but publicly here on the podcast. The White Sox Crosstown Series against the Cubs over the weekend. It's a little easier to say this after the Edgar Carroll walk-off on Sunday.
Yes.
Regardless of how that went, like that series felt like finally this matters again. The city deserves this. But the way they won the series, the White Sox won the series on Sunday, it was kind of a, hey, we're back Chicago type feeling, Hoodie.
Yes. On the arm on Sunday. Goosebumps.
Yep.
Goosebumps. Because it's Carroll out of nowhere coming through with a dramatic home run. It's something that we did not expect. Guys, let me just tell you right now, the White Sox, it's about the vibes, but it's also about a bunch of young guys that's believing in one another. My brother's not too heavy. I'll pick him up. If he falls, I'll pick him up. That's what we're getting right now with White Sox baseball. The young guys are picking each other up. It's not, you can call it charm season, you can tell, whatever you call it, it's a bunch of guys that believe in each other. And I can't say that that's been the way for the White Sox the past few years. But this team, they believe in helping one another. That's the embodiment of good baseball.
You know, Carroll walking them off. Nobody needed that more than the White Sox. Like Carroll needed that more than anybody because you could see the raw emotion. You could see the frustration. Like you could see how happy he was. Like, thank God, because I've been there before, man. Like when you're kind of like the bottom of the barrel, him and Acuna aren't really swinging it. And you're like, how can I contribute? If I'm not going to catch it, well, like come up with something big. And that's what I love about this city. And I love about this team. You can hit a walk-off, do something spectacular like that and wipe the slate clean.
Yeah, and I think, you can go back to Tristan Peters hitting the 3-run homer in the 8th inning. We talked on the podcast before the season about this outfield, man. God, like it's they wouldn't start for any other team, yada, yada, yada. You know what? I don't believe that anymore. Tristan Peters has been a find. I'm not going to single him out specifically because you can go into the bullpen and find guys that have been incredible stories. Brian Hudson's been phenomenal in the bullpen. And Chris Getz is out there, even on Tuesdays we taped this, he's out there doing these little moves, right? Depth additions. He makes a trade, under the radar trade, where they give up a AAA infielder to get a Rays bullpen guy that is going to be on the shuttle here very soon. Under the radar stuff that's happening with the White Sox. Derek Hill, that guy, he's made a big, he said he had a game-winning home run. You look at the victory on Tuesday that the White Sox stole. Yeah, they stole. There was a double steal. Derek Hill enters the game for Murakami. There's a double steal second. He scores the tying run. It's 26 guys. And they actually have an outfield problem here because Austin Hayes and Everson Pereira will be coming back. And I'm looking at the outfield, and this includes Andrew Benintendi right now, where I'm like, yeah, kind of hitting.
Yeah.
And I'm going, well, who is the odd man out? My guess is it's Luis Angel Acuna, but they actually, from the pieces they've put together, Hoodie, there's been a lot to like about the roster. We're going to talk about the stars, and I'm going to read you guys a boatload of stats that really fuel the vibe. But I'm starting to think, like, what if the White Sox front office is legit? What if Chris Getz is like showing the signs that he knows what the hell he's doing? Because I'm looking at a guy who played for the Savannah Bananas less than 5 years ago, make impactful things happen for the Chicago White Sox, whether it's power, laying down a bunt. He's versatile in the outfield. And those are the type of guys you need to win.
We went from having very few expectations for the White Sox this year to having guys you expect to come through on a regular basis.
Yep.
It starts with Murakami. He's the guy that brings the vibes. But then there's Montgomery, and there's my guy, Mydroth. And then there's others that have come through, Antonacci as well. But, they bring the old man with them. It's like, you know what, Benintendi, this is not your fault. Come with us. Hit the baseball with us. Brian can explain this better than anybody else on the show about vibes. I have no explanation of why this is happening. I'm happy that it's happening, Brian. But the point is, like, I don't understand how. It's one thing to say, boy, look at the on-base percentage and the home runs and the runs, and they're all up from last year. But I can't explain why this is happening. I'm just happy that it's happening.
From a executive and administrative standpoint, Guff, you brought up like Chris Getz and like, is this, group of scouts and national cross checkers and GMs and assistant GMs, like, are they legit? And I joke around. I've texted Getsy a couple of times about stuff on this show, I've reached out now that I'm covering the Big Ten a bit. I've reached out about a couple players I really like, not necessarily first rounders, but guys like in that 3rd to 5th round, or maybe 5 to 10. And every single one I've texted him on, he's like this, the swing's a little messy. Don't like this. This guy does this. I'm like, wow, for the GM to be on the same page as Mike Shirley and JJ Lawley and all those guys about players who are not necessarily top tier, lottery picks in that first round. It just goes to show you they're firing on all cylinders. And to your point about the guys that might get sent down, or guys that are on like the bubble when guys start coming back, let's not write off Jacob Gonzalez yet. I mean, sure, if they're in need of an infielder and Acuna's not doing well, and it doesn't necessarily mean that any of those guys are guaranteed to come back, Jacob Gonzalez could get called up and say that you're going to DH, you're going to fill in for Colson at short, fill in for Mydroth or Miguel Vargas at third, especially if Vargas is hurt. They're calling up Jacob Gonzalez. He's hitting about 800 this past month, so he's a great player.
No, for the first time, we're actually seeing depth.
Yeah.
I mean,
how do you spell that?
That'd be DEPTH. But
don't let him sneak in his Dave Revson thoughts.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's wearing off on him.
It's a Sox podcast. Let's go.
It's wearing off on him. That's a great point. I mean, go back to Getz and company for a second. Just the signing of Murakami alone, that's the ultimate win of all time, because every team in baseball, as we've talked about, is killing themselves right now going, how the hell did this happen? This was from Derek Hill talking about Munetaka Murakami. You want to talk about vibes? This is what his quote was. I truly believe he has brought this team 10 times closer. 10 times. Listen to that. Derek Hill is saying that about Munetaka Murakami. Shame on the rest of baseball for not seeing the value of that guy. They're only looking analytically. Oh, he can't hit velocity. No one's doing the homework.
Call on that.
No one's doing how'd that work out? No one's doing the homework about how the guy is in the room and how he rubs off. Look at him after the game Tuesday night against Seattle. He's been taken out for a pinch runner. He's the first guy in the handshake line. He's doing different handshakes with each guy. He's laughing. And BA, to Hoodie's point about you're the guy that would know this more than anybody. When guys don't know any better and things start going well, that's when shit happens, especially in a sport like baseball, right?
Yeah, I mean, when I can think of a similar time in 2008, right? And not that we were at odds, but like Carlos Quentin and I were friends. We played against each other when I was at U of A. He was at Stanford. It's not easy to sit back and get replaced or have a guy go out there, right? It's, of course, you want to be the guy to be doing it. But I look back in that, man, and I talk about like just an organic, just sincere will and excitement for wanting your friend to succeed. And every home run he had were like top step. I would go in for him, pinch hit, pinch run, or do whatever. And it was like, we just had each other's backs. And like that 08 team reminds me a lot of this team. Had some veteran guys, had some young dudes. You got a Murakami. That's a good comp for Carlos Quentin. Like who they just signed Carlos Quentin got him from, I think DFA'd from the Diamondbacks. He ended up hitting wiffle balls in his garage one day because he's a psychotic SOB. But
we know that.
He's nuts. But that's how he got hot. He was hitting off a flip machine that flipped little tiny plastic golf balls, and he was hitting with the broomstick. And I'm like, why'd you start doing that? He goes, couldn't sleep, man. Sitting at 3 a.m. and all of a sudden, boom, never looked back. 30-something homers and 3 4/5 of a year.
Yeah, would have been the MVP had he not punched the bat after a strikeout. Not going to get into that anymore. A couple of stats here for you and things that we've talked about here on the podcast. White Sox in one-run games, 10-5. Remember how we talked about those one-run games? Has Sir Anthony Dominguez been phenomenal? No. Has he done the job? Yes. Is Grant Taylor maybe the guy? This is another thing. I think that they have a manager here that is worth a damn. Maybe he's in the top third in the game. Right now, to me, other than Kevin Cash, is the runaway favorite for manager of the year right now in the American League. But again, I've referenced Tuesday a few times. I expected Sir Anthony Dominguez to be in the game. I just did. I'm like, okay, he's the guy. And what did he do? He's going on a hunch there. He's not going on analytics. The managers that still are able to do both go, hey, he's been up, he's hot. I heard him in the postgame say, look, if we don't use him because he's hot, it's a wasted bullet. But if you look at his last 10 games, Hoodie, 14 innings, 0 ERA, 22 strikeouts. It's their manager is putting them and putting each player in the best chance to succeed, and that's what the good ones do.
What we saw is the future closer for the Chicago White Sox and Taylor. We've always known he's got good stuff. I trust when Hudson's out there. I trust when Taylor's out there. And that matters, by the way. If you're building your 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and you got guys that in high leverage situations come through, I'm all for it, man. I love to see Taylor in there. Hey, Dominguez did not look good on Sunday. 3-run homer, that was a tough spot. But it shows the versatility, Brian, that you can go to Taylor, hit that button, and Taylor comes through. He has been tremendous, as Guff just told you with the numbers. So I'm all for that.
Yeah, the poor man's Gagne, Eric Gagne, right? Throwing a breaking ball and just a plus fastball. And real quick, Guff, did I just hear you blaspheme this podcast? Cash is a great manager, but if the White Sox make the playoffs, I don't care if they get in the wild card. I mean, you got to assume that Will Venable's the runaway for manager of the year because, I mean, they weren't even sniffing it.
I do. And which was shockingly, as of this taping, he's not the favorite, which
that's crazy.
And there are multiple people in front of him, which tells I'm basically
that's nuts.
What I'm basically asking you to do is run to the book and maybe not bet the mortgage on it, but if this is sustainable, which is, I was going to read you guys some other numbers just over the last 30 days. The Chicago White Sox lead the major leagues in home runs with 43. They are second only to the New York Yankees in OPS. They are 6th in on-base percentage. They are 5th in batting average. This Chicago White Sox team, they are 3rd in runs. Jonathan Hood, I ask you, who the hell are the White Sox? Because this is not an offense that we expected. But when you look at these numbers and some of the advanced metrics about, wins created, OPS plus, the White Sox are literally a top 3 to 5 offense in every category from start to finish.
That's got nothing to do with the American League being down. That has everything to do with the White Sox coming through in big moments. I know people want to shit on the American League, and that's fine. I mean, it's only about 4 teams that are really playing good baseball in the league. Point is, though, is the White Sox are among them. I'm surprised at those power numbers. I am, because when we did our previews, we didn't know what Murakami is going to be. And I know that's unpopular when we do this for content to not have a stance and not have a take. But I had no idea what to expect. 200 strikeouts, 15 home runs. We didn't know, but now look at what's happened. One thing for sure, if you look at Montgomery, we said if he could pick up where he left off last year, that's going to be a positive for the White Sox as well. Vargas, I'll put my hand up. Wrong about Vargas. Vargas, the versatility at first and third and being able to hit the baseball has been fantastic. So I think the home run power, to be in the same category as the Yankees as far as home runs, that surprises me.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy too is they're firing on all cylinders from a statistic standpoint, but what's been really fun to watch is the energy and the chemistry in the locker room, right? I mean, like you have this crazy mix of players, like these nomads that are around the league, a few guys that are homegrown, right? Like the Colsons, even though he's newer, but like the Mydroth and Colsons, you're like, okay, he's here, Teal's coming. But you get these guys that are piecing it together, and you can tell they're just genuinely having a good time. I mean, you got Vassell, right? The guy, he's got a future in color commentating when he's done. But
no doubt,
I'll tell you what. He was doing the Juan thing with Steve Stone, and in the middle of and making the calls. Like I think when Montgomery hit that home run, he's like, "It was the Juan, it was the Juan." And so, it's just that's awesome.
And about that, real quick, look at Hoodie's got his wand right now. If you're watching, easy. For those listening, it's not what you think it is. It's a pen.
you call it a pen. I call it something else at night.
Now. You have guys like Kyle Teal. We've been talking about Kyle Teal. Like this is your best, arguably one of your top 3 players. Now is going to be out until the All-Star break, and that's just that. But look at what did he do? He came back to he's with the team
Seattle,
on the road trip. Mike Vassell had Tommy John surgery, and 99% of the time when guys have Tommy John surgery, what happens? They do all their rehab away from things. You always hear about how lonely it is and how depressing it can be.
Which is bizarre, though. That like you think this is the right move. Like let him stay with the team. It costs a little bit extra money on the road, but he's with the major league athletic trainers. But
the fact that they want to, right? There's a want to be around this team because they look at this as something special is going on. We don't know how it's going to. It could be 75 and 87, which if it is, I think is going to be really good. It might feel disappointing right now as we tape this, but I'm looking at the sustainability here. And the longer this goes on, what?
Oh, look at you, man. You got those Torborg vibes. That's what you got going right now. You look at
them on board.
Like those 90-win Torborg teams.
That was one of my favorite teams of my lifetime, the 1990 White Sox.
The Jeff Torborgs?
The 1990 White Sox. We were too young, and had it been in the current, they would have easily been in the playoffs.
You talking about with the Greg Walker at first base?
I'm looking at the White Sox OPS plus from a year ago. Okay. You look at OPS plus, for those of you who don't know what that is, league average is 100. Okay. Which means your replacement level on anything below that's replacement level. And I'm looking at the 2025 White Sox. They had 2 players over 112 last year. 2, Colson Montgomery, who played 71 games, and Kyle Teal, who played 78 games. 2 players over 112. This year, currently, over 112. Munetaka Murakami's 161. Colson Montgomery's 130. Miguel Vargas is 137. Sam Antonacci's 121. Everson Pereira, when he's played, is a 112. Drew Romo, 137. Randall Grichuk, 182. I've named guys that we expect things to happen from, and I've named the guys we've talked about. Even Randall Grichuk, a 34-year-old veteran that the Yankees kicked to the curb, has come into this team and been placed in the culture of this clubhouse and has come up big at times, big pinch hit home runs. That's what I'm talking about. Like, there's something going on, and people can hear this podcast and be like, McGuffey's drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm sorry you're not, to be honest with you, because it's about time. Like, I was at the game Saturday, Hoodie. Yeah. And man, like I think I did my lap at one point, like mid-fifth, my ADHD lap by myself with my butt. And I'm just walking around the park, and I had a smile on my face the whole time because I'm like, man, like this is tangible. BA said on Twitter, does it feel like me? Is it just me, or all of a sudden is there more White Sox hats, more White Sox t-shirts?
Hoodie, it's everywhere. I was in Target.
I agree.
I was in Target, and I kid you not, there would always be a White Sox hat. Like my gym is in Sox country. Like I go to LA Fitness, like kind of technically west or south side. But it's nuts, man. Like in Target, there's at least 10 people with hats and T-shirts and jerseys. So that was non-existent anywhere in the city of Chicago up until about a month ago.
Oh, Hoodie's going double. He's double bagging it. He's double bagging it. Always recommended, by the way.
I would agree with that. Yes. You know why? Because first of all, the Sox cap's always been cool. I mean,
yep.
Ask Kevin Durant, ask Snoop. You know,
Ice-T, yeah, baby.
Ice-T, Ice Cube,
yeah,
Ice your mother's pants. It doesn't matter, man. They all love the Sox cap. But then it's just cool because the team is cool. Once this continues, and I feel like this can continue, Ryan, I feel like that there is an opportunity for the Sox to be able to be on the same plane as any other cool team in the city because it's young, because you got time. This is not a bunch of overpaid veterans that are underachieving. Wink, wink. There's a bunch of young guys that are getting the job done.
Is there more than one wink, Hoodie? Just wink?
There's several winks because there's several winks on that other team.
This team is so much more fun than the first iteration of the rebuild.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
There's more to it. First of all, there's more homegrown.
Yeah.
The first one had quote unquote ended up being the big flop, but it was the big three. And then there was a lot of veteran pieces via trade or free agency that were brought in to make up that entire thing. And you had other like the Giolitos and stuff. But this team, you look up and down, the Antonacci's of the world, the Antonacci-Mydroth combo.
They're so Chicago.
They're so
like so
perfect.
South Side.
But dude, if they are South Side, but if you went and looked at the teams that are really good, you'll find some version of Sam Antonacci and Chase Mydroth. You will.
No, there is. They're the Nick Puntos of the world, just with better, probably all-around skills. But just so we're clear, I always bring up Nick Punto like once a podcast. I don't say that to dog on the guys because Nick Punto killed us.
Oh yeah,
we would be like, "Hey, don't let Justin Morneau or Joe Mauer beat us." I'd be in center field like, "How about the leadoff hitter who's 5'2", who's on base 3 times a game?" Like I'm having to shift him and Placido Polanco. You have never seen me shift more. In fact, if you watch old tape of me in center field facing those guys, tangent, you'll see me playing a deep shortstop and a deep second base most of the time against those guys.
Look, this team.
I'm behind Iguchi. What do you want? I'm grabbing Uribe's ass. Where else do you want me to play?
This team we talked about the 1-5, but a lot of people might forget they were 7-14 on April 18th.
Yeah.
White Sox. And they're 18-9 since.
How about you both brought up a good point. Like the thing that got me the most, Cappy and I were just looking at it. F all the other stuff. Frick it. Like they're 10-5 in 1-run games. Like what last year was it like 15-30 something or 10-32? It was like nuts.
40 something games under 500 and 1-run games.
It was nuts.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, that right there, that tells you show me a good team, and I'll show you a team that has a good record in 1-run games. Period. I mean, there's very rarely does it happen the other way.
And we're watching eight innings of nothing, right?
Yeah.
Here's Seattle with 1 hit. Sox got 1 hit. They left ducks on the pond in the 8th in that game in Game 1 against Seattle. They're like, oh my god, don't let them lose like this. But
I know, yeah. Isn't baseball funny, Hoodie? Like yeah.
But here's what I want. Like, if you can slug your way to winning, or you can Ned Yost your way to winning, I don't care. As long as there's a W on the board. If you're going to bunt and sacrifice and steal an extra base or double steal like the White Sox did, win on the margins. However you're going to do it, just win. I just think it keeps the team activated and aware of, hey man, you're not going to just swing out of your ass to try to get out of this. You have to be active on the base paths for Venable. You've got to be able to play smart baseball, smart defense. So I like all that because for the young guy, it keeps them aware. Like in situational baseball, we have to be able to execute.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about I was watching Guff just comb through all these stats. I can only imagine his wife at home is like sitting there. In the last couple of years, she probably sat there like, God, who's he talking to on the computer? Like, who's he on the phone with? It's like he's looking up White Sox stats. I promise you.
That's why he's our guy.
It's just been a happier time the last couple of years.
It's like, honey, last couple of months. I got to see what their record is in April and 1-run games on a Thursday.
She's like, they really suck. I'm like, I know, but I need to see how bad.
Yeah, how bad?
When you look at the White Sox schedule coming up, they have a big homestand after this road trip. They get 7 against the Twins and Tigers. I mean, they're 5-2 in the Central. They basically played the Kansas City Royals, and then that's why we're going to enjoy this when it happens. They get those 7, and then they go on the road. Their first 3 against the Twins. So you have 10 coming up against the Central Division before. Listen to this stretch: at the Phillies, home against the Braves, home against the Dodgers, at the Yankees, at the Tigers, home against the Guardians. We'll know there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So That's why the title of this says it's really fun to be a White Sox fan right now. Because we
if they tee this up though,
what?
But you know what, BA? You know what, Guff? In our division, not afraid. When the Twins would come to town, I'd be underneath the table. I'd be scared to death of the Twins because fucking Tom Kelly and Gardenhire and those guys would out-fundamental us, and they would beat our ass. It would be hard to take on the Twins. It would be a great battle. You know what? Based on what we're seeing right now, not afraid of the division. Some of those other opponents, that's a step up in class. But in our division, why can't we be able to match up with everybody else? Why not?
I mean, the Royals and Tigers are combined 18 games under 500 as we like.
You could crown the Royals early, like 2 weeks ago.
I said they'd be my dark horse. I mean, the Tigers are waiting for Scooble to come back. Scooble might not be back very long because they may be forcing their hand to trade him if he's healthy, shows signs of health. And it's weird to say that in the AL Central, but there is a point where you're like, they're 6.5 games back of the White Sox.
No,
the Tigers are right now. So I'm with Hoodie. Like of all the games I just read, the 10 in front of you against the Central could really, you go 7-3 in that stretch and then just tread water in some of those other games. And you're right to where you need to be come mid to late June, which is insane that we're talking about mid to late June. But the barometer that we always talk about is what? Memorial Day. And we are knocking on the Memorial Day weekend door, and the Sox have a 3.5 game lead in the wild card as we tape this right now, Jonathan Hood. A 3.5 game lead.
That's exactly right. And by the way, the Sox could have as many All-Stars as the Yankees.
100%.
Right?
That's crazy.
That's not what we said in March. I'm telling you, that's not how we thought things.
I had Edgar Caro as our All-Star.
No, you had Shane Smith.
But
is Shane Smith eligible for the International League All-Star game? I think he is.
I think he's their starter.
I think he is.
Do you know what's nuts though is that there's a couple guys on Twitter we all follow, or like you kind of watch chime in, younger fans, and it's kind of nice because they're with it. I mean, they write their bits and stuff, but this is a team too that the Tristan Peters of the world have started to come around and buy in and get involved. But Braden Montgomery and Jacob Gonzalez are sitting there in AAA going, "Hey guys, like in a pinch, just understand that if needed, they can come up there too." And the excitement continues, right? I mean, those guys are very athletic, both former first rounders. I coached against both of them, and man, I'd love to see them get up this year and see what they could do. Jacob Gonzalez obviously has earned it probably a little bit more than Braden Montgomery because he's been hitting at such a high level in AAA. He's a year or two older, but man, Jacob Gonzalez is a plug and play right away, hopefully at third base, or if Colson needs to move over and let him play, who knows? Just a lot of depth, as you said.
I agree with that. However, it's too bad this is not 1995 because there would be a spot for Acuna just to be a pinch runner. He's the fastest guy on the team. And I know he's got to go, but I mean, he's a catalyst, though. I mean, it's almost automatic when he gets on base that he's going to steal. And
can't steal first, Hoodie.
Yeah, I think
I tried.
I think the attempted bunt on Tuesday night against the Seattle Mariners was Acuna can't play up here.
How can you not? But how do you not bunt?
I don't know if you saw it, but then he the way his knees buckled on the curveball to follow, I was like, at Louis Angel.
Oh, Ozzy.
Although his current stolen base total might be just enough to win me my who will have more stolen bases bet between him and Luis Robert. Yes, another way to get Luis Robert's name into the podcast. Into the podcast. A couple of news and notes before we get out of here. Just because the PCA stuff that happened over the weekend at the ballpark, I figured there's been a lot of Tristan Peters love on this podcast that I would let everyone know that his OPS of 700 currently is 30 points higher than one Pete Crow Armstrong. So
what about that, Cap?
I know Cap is in this office, and I'm sure he's going to chime. Yeah, he didn't hear. He's tuned us out, which is good. It's exactly what I wanted him to do. That Tristan Peters currently has an OPS 30 points higher than one Pete Crow Armstrong.
Yeah, and Pete Crow Armstrong learned the hard way that the toughest White Sox fan that exists is a female White Sox fan. The female White Sox fan with the comb in her back pocket and the steel mill jacket. And the cool menthol cigarette she's smoking, and the kinky 1990 hair. Let me tell you something. You don't want to with them. I'm just telling you. Those are the toughest people around.
Hoodie, for the first 22 years of my life, I with them, and I married one. She's from Northwest Indiana. I hope that's you do know that, right?
Portage.
Yeah. So I spent a lot of time with those type of women, and they're still telling me the same thing that she told PCA. I've just learned not to speak back to them like PCA did. And so, like you said, he learned the hard way. It's part of the culture of being a White Sox.
Hey, can we give PCA his due though? You want to know, like, how good is that player, right? Like Aaron Judge, probably that's the upper echelon, the Shohei Ohtanis. Those are the upper elite echelon players. They're the top. No, they're untouchable. But hey, how good is PCA? I don't know. He told a chick in the stands on camera the other day to SSD, and he's still in the league. So he's that good. They're not getting rid of that. I have a hard time believing in 06, 07, a young Brian Anderson drops an S my D. I think I'm on the bus, the Greyhound bus to Charlotte.
I'll just say this: Tim Anderson flipped a fan off a couple of years ago. He got suspended for a game. PCA, I think, had to be fined.
Essing of the D.
So I'm just saying, I don't want to put anything out there, Hoodie, but Tim Anderson was suspended for a middle finger gesture.
Yes.
I'm just wondering what would have happened had he said what PCA said. I'm just going to leave that alone, but you know where I'm going with this.
I understand, and I'd like to know if S my D is going to be on Wheel of Fortune tonight. Hopefully that'll be one of the fun.
It'll be S-ing. It'll be Essing of the D.
Can I buy a consonant? Yeah. And then lastly, as we tape this, 20 years ago today, we started this whole thing with Cubs Sox, right? 20 years ago today, as we taped this, Brian Anderson was involved in the best White Sox-Cubs skirmish of all time. I won't call it the best White Sox fight of all time because there's other ones that the 2000 one to me against the Tigers is an all-time brawl.
Was that the one where that was against Kansas City?
There were three brawls.
The fan came out.
Oh, that was a Tom Gamboa. That was a separate situation. But we all know the AJ Pierzynski and Michael Barrett punch fight heard around the world, and that came right after the White Sox had won the World Series. You want to talk about good vibes on a Saturday Fox game? I believe it was the Fox game of the week. And then the punch was thrown. Give us your perspective. I remember how many games did you get suspended? 6. 6 games.
I led the team that year in one thing, game suspended. But no, the crazy part is how it all started. I being the catalyst, I was telling Cappy, I took an 88 mile an hour dick shot from Rich Hill down the middle and hit the laziest, most shallowest of fly balls. It's not even possible because I had some juice to the pole side. I hit a high, shallow fly ball. No one on planet Earth would have tagged up, especially not AJ, if not Matt Merton, who chucks grenades out there. Thank God, because he had the worst arm in the big league. So, and it's not a knock on Matt Merton. He's a great player, but worst arm I've ever seen. So AJ's tagging up. Merton catches the ball in a deep shortstop, and the throw is online. It's just AJ beats it. I'm hitting first base like, thank God, 0 for 0 with a sac fly and RBI. Like, that's huge, right? When you're hitting $150. I turn and I see Barrett punch AJ, and at that point I just sprint in and I'm looking for anyone in a Cubs jersey to let loose on. And
was it Mabry that you hit?
Yeah, so I ran in, and if you watch it in slow-mo, Pods is tangled up with Barrett. As I'm running by, I hit Barrett flush in the face. Felt terrible about it. Told him I still am a beer 20 years later. And that's when I turn, and poor John Mabry, who's not a small guy. He's 6'3". I didn't have time to evaluate his character, So I'm toe to toe with him, and I just let one rip. Thank God he ducked because it was a good one. And then we went to the ground. I was mic'd up for that game on Fox Sports.
Were you really?
And the guys told me, I said, can we play it back? He's like, dude, it was real muffled. But he's like, but we could hear you at the bottom going, you like that, motherfucker? You like that? You like that? And the poor guy is John Mabry with 3 kids.
I think he ended up in the hospital.
But, I think that was because of the weight of 50 other guys on top. Yeah. I will say this, though. John Mabry, great guy. No problem with him. But I did ask like Bob Bechtel or somebody like, hey, can I send like my regards or my apologies? And they're like, he's in the hospital. He like cracked his rib or something. I said, please, like, can you tell him I said I'm sorry? And Bob or somebody came back and he said, Mabry said, go fuck yourself. I said, well, tell him to suck on those broken ribs then. You. Like, what do you want? Like, sorry.
Wow.
Like, suck it.
I love the apology. The table can be flipped right back over upon you.
All I could say though about that fight, is thank God Bobby Jenks and Carlos Zambrano didn't get there in the meat of it, because then all hell would have broke loose. That'd have been like two comets colliding in outer space. Those guys are just mean, big SOBs, man.
See, that's why, I mean, every year that we get further and further away from that fight, it brings you closer to like, oh man, I remember that time, or I remember. And I don't want to say like that's what this past weekend felt like, but in some ways it did. There was no brawl needed. Both teams have won a World Series now, but it's the first time that that it felt to me like, oh, I remember this feeling. It's been a long ass time. And when I heard the stat that both teams hadn't been over 500 facing each other since 2008, well, then it was confirmed. That's what I felt this weekend. I felt walking around the park, and Friday night's game where the Cubs won, Saturday night where the Sox won, and then, of course, the epic game on Sunday. It just felt to me, Hoodie, you spent your whole life here. It felt to me like that early 2000 to 2010, and you can go back to 97 if you want, but that stretch, pre-White Sox winning the World Series and right after, 20 years ago, it felt like, yes, finally we get what we all deserve, South Side, North Side, etc.
Yes, and the electricity is always there. People say, oh, man, the crowd. It's always there because it's Cubs Sox, but I just think the game quality, especially on Sunday, I mean, everyone was turning their heads because that game was going back and forth, and the good guys happened to win it. So I just think that was just great for the White Sox. I told this to Cap, and Cap disagreed. I said, this means a lot more for the White Sox and the Cubs. The Cubs are going to be good, said, but for the White Sox, to keep the momentum going, especially for a young group, this meant a lot more for the Sox. And I remember being in Island Lake, Illinois, with Mongo for that game. Why was that booked? I have no idea. Brought to you by Schlitz or something. I have no idea.
The Bears guy?
Rest in peace to Mongo and Schlitz. Yeah.
We're doing an appearance together, a 2-hour appearance around Cubs Sox, around that game. And Mongo walks in there, he's like, oh, baseball, nobody cares about baseball. And then he sees that fight occur, and he takes off his sunglasses and goes, oh my God, this is the real thing. He was impressed. The big top football guy sees fists flying and bodies flying. He even had to take his sunglasses off and say, brother, this is the real thing. Yes, Mondo, it's the real thing. Yes, exactly. Well, I'll never forget it.
Really good way to segue into the White Sox, I think, are the real thing as well. At least this 2026 iteration. Currently constructed. Injuries, the things we don't know. As we tape this, we're still awaiting an update on Miguel Vargas. I think it was a huge thing that he finished the game defensively. I immediately thought, like, you got to be kidding me at the time he broke his hand. But the real thing, guys, last thought here is this starting to feel like we're going to be talking about this in August to me. It does. It's starting to feel, you mentioned the division, Hoodie. Cleveland's doing Cleveland things, and everyone else is basically right now raising their hands and say, yeah, we're not really interested or ready to be in this little fight right now of the bad, of playing the bad. And people can rip all they want about the AL Central. At least acknowledge that the AL West sucks worse than the Central. I mean, the AL West is just an absolute crap show, and I still would pick the Mariners to win it. But real thing, real thoughts. Last thought for you guys. As we head into that murderer's row stretch, I personally think, guys, this is real. Hoodie, your thoughts?
Every pitch begins with K. Anthony K is gonna be a key, right? I mean, we're looking at the rotation, and Davis Martin's an all-star. Okay.
Yep.
So now we need length from the starters. Like I told you before, I really feel good about the bullpen right now, 6 through 9. Dominguez, it's 50-50, but I know I got Grant Taylor, so I feel like I'm good there, right? And then offensively speaking, man, this is not a mirage. These guys are coming through. We know there's peaks and valleys in every season. We get that, right? But I feel like the good vibes, the thing I can't describe with the Sox team, the good vibes will keep them above water. Also, there's a pulse from Venable. That's not sleepy Gene Lamont in there. There's a guy there that actually cares. He got tossed, and there was a reason why he got tossed. It made sense when we got hosed in that first game against Seattle. So I feel good about it, man. I just keep the momentum going.
Yeah, I mean, all I can say to you both is the Hood McGuffey party. Your table's ready. Party of 2. We're sure glad to have you. We saved a seat for you. I said 80 wins. I meant it. Okay. That's all I'm
I
gonna
said
say.
Murakami All-Star, and I meant it. So that's all I'm going to say.
That's low hanging fruit, man. The guy.
Low-hanging fruit. You
that's
guys
like
said he hit like 17
That's
homers.
like saying your Ichiro is going to lead the league in hits. Like, hello.
I did do a stop. I did do a drive-by, by the way, of the 108 on Saturday night. I did do a peek in.
Yeah.
They were jacked up. And I said,
was it over under 5 shots they made you do on the way through?
No, security came down and escorted me out. I was like, come on, man. Irish guy at a Southside event. What the hell's going on?
What's going on?
But no, we agreed that this is fun to be able to break bread during a Cubs Sox, but we're going to find like a nice Wednesday Royals game to really get together, have some spread out room in the 108 and break some bread. So
yes, and you know that'll be the lovable reunion, not that crap on Marquee. This will be the lovable reunion. 108 and recap of the White Sox. That's the lovable reunion.
Yes. They got all my money in the 108. Oh God, it's so much fun. I did not envision on May 20th we'd be doing a podcast talking about how fun it is to be a White Sox fan right now. But Brian Anderson, Jonathan Hood, God, I'm so glad that speaking of momentum, the podcast is feeling the momentum and we're riding it too. This has been the White Sox Recap Podcast. Whether you're watching on YouTube or listening wherever you listen to audio form podcasts, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And if you don't already subscribe, join the 250,000 people that have already done that, and then click the notification bell, because every time we drop a new episode, boom, you get the notification and we're ready right there for you, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or wherever else. Go White Sox. For BA, for Hoodie, I'm Guff. We'll see you next time on the White Sox Recap Podcast.